Okay, hi again, everybody. It is my great pleasure to continue this pedagogical sequence of panels. I'm sure we would all agree that what we teach children is of crucial importance. Whether we teach them habituation of anthropodomination or care about the other living beings. In the present Western world, cruelty gets carefully normalized through a complex system of components that mask reality. At home, at the educational institutions, from the crèche to the university, and at all artistic media and market channels. In my 2020 book, Why is the Laughing Cow Laughing? Relations between humans and other animals, I presumed the children have innate understanding with not human animals, that anthropodomination is imposed upon them by adults until they grow accustomed to it. In the words of Elizabeth Costello from J.M. Coetzee's remarkable 1999 book, The Lives of Animals, and of course, children all over the world consort quite naturally with animals. They don't see any dividing line. That is something they have to be taught, just as they have to be taught it is all right to kill and eat them. The same presumption is followed by Matthew Coe and Kate Stewart in their 2014 book, Our Children and Other Animals, The Cultural Construction of Human-Animal Relations in Childhood. How could it be that presenting children with a figure of a loved animal character alongside dead pieces of other animals is not only tolerated but enjoyed by children? What happens in the walk across the multiplex car park from screen to restaurant, which transforms the strong affective feelings towards non-humans represented and encouraged in themes common in children's films, to an acceptance of the utility of non-humans as toys or foods? How do we teach young humans so swiftly and so robustly that these contradictory relationships are normal and unproblematic? While I was presenting my book to various colleagues, though, some of them expressed certain reservation with regard to the innate understanding and kindness of children towards non-human animals, as well as the later interiorization of anthropodomination and violence. Some children do enjoy hurting other animals, they said. Think of all the kids that tear the insects' wings, hit birds with slings, other tools, burn the tails of cats and dogs. Professor Ina Peleva, for instance, suggested that it could be the other way around. Maybe the little person is authentically not natural, part of which is his or her ability to react aggressively toward the surrounding environment, and that maybe it is precisely culture or segments of culture that edit this cruelty and teach children to be compassionate. This debate will not be the center of my talk today, although if you find it interesting, we could get back to it in the discussion. But it is a good starting point, since it very clearly shows the importance of the upbringing and education when it comes to the care about other living beings. Whether children are born with natural bonds with non-human animals and later taught to dominate and hurt them, or they are born naturally cruel and later taught to respect and protect the other living beings. In both cases, and in all the cases in between, what we teach children is of crucial importance. It is not the same whether the literary curriculum, for example, would contain hunting short stories or environmental ones, whether culture would bring the problems closer or further, whether violence would be stigmatized or normalized. The way we socialize the children and the relations they build with the other animals are crucial to the relations between humans and other animals in general. Before I focus on Bulgarian literary curriculum, let me show you a couple of images from the brand new educational portal, Geography of Bulgaria, developed by the National Institute of Geophysics, Geodesy, and Geography at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences in aid of teachers, students, and everyone interested. This portal has a section Environment with a subsection Using and Protection of Animals in Bulgaria. And from these subsections, we learned that animals are renewable resources. a resource for the development of agriculture and farming, a resource for the development of leather and shoe industry, a resource for the development of food industry, development of hunting, etc., etc. Needless to say, I do find this approach to nature and its creatures unacceptable. And if we teach children that anthropodomination is the proper attitude, then we will never be able to escape the vicious circle of comprehending our fellow creatures as a resource that exists only to be used by us, superior humans. A few words now about the scope of my research in this paper. First of all, why literature? The logical explanation will be because I'm a literary scholar, but this is not the only reason. Above all, literary education teaches us not only about worthy literary works. Literary education teaches us how to read, how to apprehend texts, how to perceive the world, how to write, how to think, how to internalize and express certain values and views. Through educational perspective, this presentation will trace the attitudes towards non-human animals, the human-non-human relations, and the ideologies included in the literature curriculum developed by the Bulgarian Ministry of Education and Sciences. Comparing the official programs with certain literary textbooks, I will seek various representations of non-human animals in these textbooks. I will study which authors who wrote about nature and non-human animals are included in the curriculum, which of their literary works are studied in school, what interpretational directions are offered, and what approaches to the human-non-human relations are chosen, and what types of thinking are encouraged and cultivated. The scope of my examples will spread out from the 5th till the 12th grade. I will leave the first classes aside, not because they're not important, but precisely because they're of crucial importance and they deserve separate attention. As rightfully shown by Katina Ferezin and Snezana Mocinic in their 2017 article, Do We Need to Train Teachers and Students to Care About the Other Living Beings? The educational process should start at the level of primary school to create a significant imprinting in students who are very young. Indeed, respect and care towards other living beings should be taught from a very young age, and I will focus on that further in my research work. Today, I will look at the curriculum for grades 5th to 12th, with focus on literature and not on Bulgarian language, and with limits to the standard curriculum, not the one for specialized education. A brief overview of the curriculum clearly shows that animal welfare is not a priority in it, and neither is the respect and care towards non-human animals. With a few exceptions, nature is included from other angles, not as a harmonious coexistence of all the living creatures. The very choice of literary works in the curriculum already contains deficiency of engaged attitudes. In the 5th grade, the curriculum includes mythological and folklore models, as well as author's tales such as Charles Perrault, Puss in Boots, and Hans Christian Andersen's The Ugly Duckling, in which, according to the instructions of the Ministry of Education and Sciences, the student should be able to, I quote, distinguish the attribution of human characteristics to an animal and explain their significance for the building of the text meaning, unquote. Needless to say, such emphasis on anthropomorphism would only enforce the anthropocentrism, which is characteristic of contemporary culture in general. Since the few exceptions I mentioned are to be found in the 6th and the 10th grade, I will skip them at this moment and come back to them shortly. In the 7th grade, the method for instruction does not presuppose a critical animal approach. The only short story that includes non-human animals as characters is Jordan Jovkov's Along the Wire. It's a short story, but the main animal character there, the white swallow, is actually a symbol, which is supposed to be interpreted as such from the angle of human destiny, faith in good, love, hope, the white bird, the Holy Spirit, etc. And respectively, the snake is the sickness. Jordan Jovkov has written important works that include non-human animals as characters, as well as various aspects of their relations with humans, and yet none of them are to be found in the curriculum. The same, unfortunately, applies to other important authors as well. In the 8th grade, the literary curriculum gallops through the antiquity, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance. In the 9th grade, through European Enlightenment, modernism, then back to the Bulgarian national revival. And in the 11th grade, the curriculum includes a section called Nature. It comprises of 3 literary works, all of them, as if on purpose, not containing non-human animals as characters, apart from some sporadic ones which are more part of the landscape. Ivan Vazov's ode at the Rila Monastery praises nature as a home of human and is full of patriotic pathos. Pejo Javorov's poem Hailstorm presents nature as dramatic, uncontrollable, and Pencho Sloveko's lyrical miniature The Lake Sleeps presents nature as a statical, still life. What the 3 literary works share is the almost complete lack of fauna. The 12th grade, the 12th grade method for instruction consists of literary works arranged in groups around certain themes, such as love, faith and hope, labor and creative work, choice and mind division. None of them gets connected with animal welfare or the improvement of people's relations with other living beings. And to sum it up, the literary curriculum is lacking engaged attitude towards non-human animals. Let us now go back to the 2 exceptions. The 6th grade. There is a section called Human and Nature, and it offers a very interesting mixture. A poem of the Bulgarian national revival revolutionary Ljuben Karabeov, You Are Beautiful, My Forest, Ivan Vazov's poem Kind Fatherland, How Beautiful You Are, and the 4th chapter of Gerald Darrow's My Family and Other Animals. I must admit I was quite shocked by this combination. At the same time, pleasantly surprised by the presence of Darrow's work in the compulsory literary education. The chapter which is chosen, A Bushel of Learning, with some abridgments, is not the most engaged with critical animal thinking in the book, but it offers an excellent starting point for approaching the human-non-human relations. The other exception is to be found at the end of the 10th grade curriculum in Jordan Radichko's short story, The Gentle Spiral, which was previously included in the curriculum for the 8th grade. This is perhaps the only Bulgarian literary work in the curriculum which contains explicit criticism towards the violent behavior of humans to non-human animals. On the other hand, Radichkov was not only an excellent writer, but an excellent hunter too, which is a fact that should not be ignored. Also, the short story is not unambiguous and is not interpreted unambiguously. When we are discussing the various representations of non-human animals in Bulgarian literary textbooks, the examples could be good and not so good. Let me first give a few not so good examples concerning paratexts and images. The major subject in the literary curriculum for the 6th grade is the worlds of human, which is anthropodomination per se. And the worlds in question are human and nature, human and art, human and the other humans. From the very formulation, we understand that nature is a world of human, a world that belongs to and is dominated by human. Further, with the not so good examples, certain pictures contain hidden messages which are not so well considered. Here, for instance, is an illustration. As an illustration for section Human and Nature in the textbook, we see 3 happy kids with a lovely retriever running in a park, and the park, I'm guessing, is supposed to represent nature, along with the dog, probably. But here is a picture for the same section from another textbook. Here the kids are already in a mountain, and we can even spot some birds and insects around them. Another not so good example, or perhaps good from a literary point of view, but not so good from a critical animal thinking one, is this exercise with 4 photos of non-human animals. And the task is choose one of these animals as a character in a story of yours and describe it. The species are chosen carefully with specific features that will provoke the description abilities of the child. But on the other hand, the exercise promotes speciesism. And you can imagine if those were photos of people with specific features, then the exercise will be purely discriminatory. And now let me briefly mention 2, again, not so good textual examples. The 6th grade curriculum contains a chapter 21 from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince, the chapter in which the little prince meets the fox, and the fox teaches him what it's like to tame somebody and to make him special. During the dialogue, the fox, if you remember, also complains from the hunting people whom he finds disturbing. The fox says, people have guns, they hunt, it is a problem for me. In all the textbooks I examined, I didn't find a trace of the hunting theme or the way it is expressed by the fox. Instead, the focus of the interpretation are the relations between humans. Like the wise fox shows the little prince how carefully the interpersonal relations should be built, or the fox is a part of the natural wildlife, which is why it associates friendship with taming. Even though some authors and their non-human animal-related works are not in the curriculum, they are sometimes mentioned in a comparative angle. Such author is the most prominent hunting writer, Emilian Stanev. And here is a not so good example of substituting his real life and works with a beautiful fragment about human feelings in nature. The text reads, calling himself a cruel realist, Emilian Stanev has no romantic attitude towards nature. He devotes to nature many of his works and sees nature not even as a guest, but as a hunter penetrating the wild world. Still, in his long short story, when the white frost is melting, we can find an image of nature inspiring serenity, greatness, and beauty. And now, at the end of my presentation, let me briefly mention a few better representations of non-human animals in Bulgarian literary textbooks and better approaches to the relations between humans and non-humans. Some 6th grade textbooks approach Gerald Durrell's My Family and Other Animals with an accent on Durrell's biography, which is actually quite fruitful. By emphasizing certain aspects of his naturalist experience and his love for the animals, the textbook authors provoke children to think about loving animals as a value and as an important cause. In some textbooks, we can find tasks such as draw a map of wildlife in Bulgaria, or even I was quite pleased to find a task discussion topic as do you think zoos should exist and why? The aforementioned short story, The Gentle Spiral by Ildar Vichkov, is usually analyzed in the direction of the complex and problematic relations between human and nature. In some textbooks, we can find expressively accusing statements such as uncouth cruelty, suddenly unlocked aggression towards nature, killers. The hunters are called killers. The main topic of the short story is the broken harmony between human and nature, since people have felt themselves master of nature. These are all quotes from textbooks. Examples like that show us that certain literary works have very strong, thought-provoking environmental potential, but also the way we approach those works is crucial. So finally, my conclusions. Animal welfare is not a priority in the Bulgarian literary education. The choice of literary works in the curriculum contains deficiency of engaged attitudes towards non-human animals. Second, the authors of textbooks have certain yet limited freedom to include in the exercises other literary works and to comparatively or thematically bring forward certain environmental aspects. And third, the teachers are compelled to consider the limitations of the curriculum, the logic of the textbooks, and the pressure of time. Since still, in the end, it is up to them to include certain values in the way students read, write, think, and perceive the world. Among these values being our attitudes towards the other living beings. And I also believe what Kalina Pedersen wrote in the previous paper, that any material could be transformed into in the hands of a critical educator. Okay, thank you.